Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more. The Surface 3. It's smaller than its Pro 3 counterpart, it runs full Windows, and it's cheaper. That alone justifies its existence. After all, the Surface Pro 3 is niche at best. PC power, premium laptop price, and big tablet body. It is, to all intents and purposes, a workhorse laptop replacement, which is amazing. But it was just a bit too expensive and different for most people to get their heads around. So what's the Surface 3 trying to be with its less powerful internals and identical form factor? A netbook, a laptop, a tablet? Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to figure out. Its design is almost indistinguishable from the Pro 3 on first glance. Screen, trapezoid profile, kickstand, optional type cover. Look a little closer though and you can see exactly where Microsoft has cut back. The kickstand has 3 defined angles, unlike the freely pivoting one on the Pro 3. The screen's smaller, 10.8 inches as opposed to 12. There's no magnet along the right hand side to adhere the pen to like on the Pro 3. None of these are deal breakers though, right? The fact the front panel is the same high quality glass, houses front facing stereo speakers, the tablet feels as solid and supports the same types of accessories that the Pro 3 does is key. All the ports are on the right, buttons up top, camera and kickstand around the back. Under the kickstand is a well-hidden micro SD card slot. As far as the price goes, you can pick up a 64 gig version with 2 gigs of RAM for £419. The 128 gigabyte version with 4 gigs of RAM costs £499. This is a model I reviewed. I'll come on to which I'd recommend later when I talk about performance, but first, a quick word on value for money. The type cover and pen aren't included. The pens are nice to have, especially for digital artists, and they'll set you back £50. If you haven't seen my speed sketching video on it, check that out. The type cover, which doubles up as a screen protector though, is a must-have and costs £109. This is a lot of money, but really does convert the Surface 3 into a full hybrid. It's comfortable to type on for long periods, it's backlit, and it's ergonomically angled for maximum ease of use. You can pick it up in a range of colors too, and it's just a high quality finish at the end of the day. Perhaps my only criticism of the type cover is the fact the velour finish around the back dirties pretty quickly. I'd give it realistically about a week or 2 in a bag before you start scuffing it up a bit. Altogether though, it's a great looking tab with great accessories, it feels great and it's ergonomic as well. To say the tablet starts at £419 isn't entirely fair therefore. You're looking at least £538 for the solution that'll make this tablet worth having. Sounds expensive, right? Well, it is. But before we pass judgment, let's take a look at what else is out there. The Sony Xperia Z4 tablet with a BKB50 keyboard dock, £499. iPad Air 2 Belkin Quad Ultimate dock, £550. These are Wi-Fi models with 32 gigs and 64 gigs respectively inside. The keyboard integration isn't as necessary or as well executed as on the Surface 3. In fact, iOS and Android are just inferior for productivity when compared to Windows. So if you're getting this for work, then it is an absolute no-brainer. £538 for any potential laptop replacement isn't too bad, and when it looks as good as this, it just got a whole lot more reasonable. A final word about design. In terms of the sheer ergonomics, this isn't a like-for-like laptop replacement. It doesn't function in exactly the same way or feel the same. It takes some getting used to, but once you have gotten used to it, it can be a laptop replacement as far as productivity goes, and that's the main thing. So this design really is bringing forward everything that Microsoft got right in the Surface Pro 3 at a lower price, which I guess ultimately is what they were trying to do, and they've succeeded. Now that we know this thing isn't a rip-off, let's talk about the screen. 10.8 inches, full HD IPS tech, hardly the sharpest thing in the world, but when on a lap or table 40 odd centimeters away from your face, you will not see a single pixel. Outdoor viewability is also great even in sunlight. Colors are warmer than on other LCD screens, and the only time you'll wish it was sharper is if you're using the Surface 3 as an ebook reader and looking up close. 10.8 inches is also a reasonable size. While it is too big for comfortable one-handed holding, it's big enough for most Windows apps, touch optimized or not, and that's a real clincher. Inside, it's full Windows 8.1, and the Surface 3 will be getting Windows 10 when it drops in July. This means touch-optimized apps as well as old-school .exe files. This might sound like the best of both worlds, but it isn't. The touch app selection is poor. This isn't like using an iPad or an Android tablet. From a touch point of view, from an app point of view, I guess, it's much worse. But from an application point of view, i.e. the exe files, it is so much better. Applications like Microsoft Office, Autodesk Sketchbook, and Photoshop are second rate on Android and iOS, but on the Surface 3, i.e. full Windows 8.1, they're just awesome. It can handle Photoshop for basic editing, even working with a few layers, but stay relatively low resolution unless you fancy twiddling your thumbs. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF files, this is better to work from than any other tablet that I can think of, aside from obviously the Pro 3. You also have the freedom to play with less conventional software, and of course full flash sites, which a lot of businesses depend on. What surprised me more than anything though was how well this played Devil May Cry, a game, a PC game, but I'll come on to that a bit later. So this is a rudimentary gaming system, a very basic workhorse, and a half-decent imaging tool. Totally workable for 90% of occupations that spring to my mind. The only area I really struggled with was video editing. So if anyone wants to do that, just get a Pro 3. So that's apps versus applications. Now it's worth talking about interacting with the tablet. Windows is terribly touch optimized. That isn't really Microsoft's fault, although it kind of is. It's history's fault, well, legacy's fault. The Touch UI, what used to be called Metro UI, is great for fingers, but compromises too much on function and app selection. Be prepared to use your trackpad or mouse therefore, because you'll want to be spending most of your time in the desktop. Get past this, and you've overcome my main objection with the Surface 3's UI. Instantly familiar to Windows users who are comfortable in a desktop environment, not so hot for people who just want a finger-friendly tablet. On to multimedia, and Microsoft's kept most of what I loved about the Pro 3 in tow, and they've added a high-resolution camera as well. Stereo front-facing speakers, a high-quality panel, and a kickstand. With a desktop browser, this is beyond flexible for video streaming sites. Movies are awesome, music's great from those front-facing stereo speakers, and games impressed me. Hook up a gamepad and you are absolutely laughing. As a touchscreen gamepad though, it's cumbersome. Also, you'll get a much better selection of touchscreen titles from iOS and Android, although the Steam store for Windows, well, then you can get your full PC gamer on. Don't get me wrong, you can't crank up the graphics settings and you can't expect to play the latest greatest games without a frame dropped here and there, but the mere fact that it plays so many decent titles impressed me. The stereo speakers are also loud enough and they're front facing. This means it's on par with the best tablets out there and decent laptops. The video out also means you can throw content to a big screen with ease, and if you want to turn the tab into a full desktop, get the dock. 160 quid, so it's not cheap, but you can dock it, use a monitor that's plugged into it, mouse, keyboard, like I said, feels like a full desktop. Microsoft also improved the camera, 8 megapixel around the back and a 3 megapixel front facer. The rear camera doesn't have a flash, but it does have autofocus and it takes decent pictures. The front camera is fixed focus, but isn't too bad even when the light drops. Both are perfect for the occasional snap or Skype call, though they won't blow your mind in terms of quality. The fact there's pen input too, with 256 levels of pressure sensitivity, is also very handy. OneNote integrates to become an endless notebook. Click the back of the pen to take a note, double click it to grab a screenshot and throw that straight into OneNote. It's great for doodles and when you install apps like Sketchbook or even Photoshop multi-layered sketches. Digital note taking, I'm not so sold on, especially with such a good keyboard in tow. Storage options include 64GB or 128GB internal. Both are expandable by micro SD card. I'd recommend the larger of the two, as in addition to having extra storage, it's also got double the RAM. Data connections are limited to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. The 4G version should be coming later this year. There's no GPS, however, on the Wi-Fi model. Physical connections are great. It has a full-size USB and a micro USB port. It also supports USB on the go, so the micro USB doubles up as a full-size port with an adapter. It's powered by an Intel Atom X7 processor too, which definitely impresses. This doesn't mean desktop or Surface 3 power, but it can output 4K video and, as described, handle all mid-level tasks and some higher level ones too. With such impressive performance, I really expected battery to be hit hard, but it isn't. This thing lives as long as a tablet, not a laptop. That is pretty huge. I got through a full working day without plugging mine in once. Life untethered? I'd say so. Anyone who stays on top of BTech knows the Surface 3 is our tablet of June 2015. It isn't just an indulgent tablet, which is what most Android tablets and iPads are, unless they're bought for a business. It's also a workhorse, ideal for full Office, Evernote, etc. It also comes with a full year of free Office 365, which I didn't mention in is a definite value add. The fact the Surface 3 dips its toes in other cool stuff like photo editing and sketching just adds to the appeal. But if you are thinking about it, definitely factor the keyboard cover into the price. Also, treat yourself. Go for the 128GB version with 4GB of RAM. You can then get a 128GB microSD card and get 256GB on board, as much as most MacBook Pros have. After all, if you pick one up, you can leave both your laptop and your tablet at home. Sell them on eBay or something. Hopefully you enjoyed my review of the Surface 3. If you did, then click that like button. If you like BTech in general, subscribe to the channel. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything that we do. And of course, if you've got any questions about anything I've spoken about, just fire them in the comments section below and I will do my best to answer. Thanks for watching.